Welcome to the Rally Points podcast for the love and fun of tennis.
Christopher Clarey, a New York Times best-selling author, joins us today in a delightful conversation on his book The Master on Roger Federer and The Warrior on Rafael Nadal.
Fly so high, I'm hypnotized.
All right, well, it's basically...
Back him in the face playing with him.
Did you?
You saw, yeah.
Actually, to be honest, the shots that impressed me the most today were your kind of tight to the body angle volleys that you were hitting.
Oh, just the
That's really
little
nice.
bit. Well,
Off some pretty, decent balls. You were just no problem. Boom, bye.
oh, thanks.
Bye.
Yeah, that was,
Bye.
He's a real problem out there. You run into players that just have big games, and you just expect you're going to get mauled. He's a
Yeah,
big
the
game.
touch power combo.
But then he's got touch, power, quickness, balance. He's smart. Really irritating.
super
really,
irritating.
yeah.
That's the key word there.
Yeah. As I said to you guys during the first set, that's why he has no friends. So
Yeah,
so many
yeah,
shots that he
yeah,
hits,
yeah,
like, oh,
right.
man. I had underwear on before I started this point. What happened to it?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
no, it was fun. It was good, and I love it. I love it. You gotta play, man. When you get on the court, right? You gotta play. You gotta enjoy it,
And it's a good test of character, I think, tennis.
right?
See how people react to everything. It's always interesting.
Cannot wait to dive into that. with
Yeah.
you and what you've been seeing, and so thanks for coming, Christopher Clarey. We
Yeah.
appreciate it. Yeah,
I'm honored to be here. It's taken a while to make it happen, but it's great to be here.
We're
We're
grateful.
doing it right.
Yeah, we're grateful doing it right. A little tennis, this, and nice event afterwards. It's gonna be a fun day. And I was thinking how to start and where to begin, and there's so much that I want to cover. So we'll graze as much as we can over a lot. But gotta say, like, reading your books and listening, and it's you do have a beautiful style of getting things going. So great job on that. The main thing, going into a little bit of how you write and how you portray characters and situations. In your second book, not second, it's on the Warrior book, you started with this beautiful line of, you have to get in the right mindset for each character. You're in a state of flow for Federer, in a state of like grit and hard work for Nadal. So I thought that was so impressive. That was because you got to get to feel what those guys were doing. Tell us a little bit how you get to that. How was that?
I don't think that was my intent going into it, the book. But as I started doing it, I started to feel some of those emotions.
Yeah.
And I think you start to imprint on your character. And when you write a book like this, I covered Federer and Nadal for 20 plus years each. I met them when they were teenagers and followed them all the way through their careers till the very end.
Yeah.
And then you start to spend time to write a book. It's a very different experience. Whereas you're covering them as a newspaper writer for the New York Times, is you come to them once in a while, you have an intense couple weeks watching them at Wimbledon or whatever, and then you go on to other things. When you write a book, you live with these guys in your head for a year. In the case of Nadal, it was close to 2 years. And it's kind of, you go to bed thinking about what you're going to write and their character. You wake up thinking about it. Not the healthiest thing in some ways.
Yeah. Well,
But over time, you do start to find a way to connect with them on some level creatively. And I think that's what you're referring to, that part early in the book when you talk about, with Rafa, with Roger, you kind of want it to seem like it's easy and flow, and you want it to all kind of seem seamless, and you want the writing to feel that way. But Rafa, you're kind of almost happy artistically when it gets tough and hard, because that's what he likes.
Yes.
I think that holds his interest in a way that for a lot of other champions might tell you that they like it and say that they might enjoy the adversity aspect, but I don't know if they really mean it. And Rafa means it, and Rafa really does. And so for me, writing the second book, I thought would be easier. I'd already written one big one, commercial book, and
Massive.
went through all my notes for 20 years and tried to put it together. Yeah. I thought, okay, well, Rafa's, it's same era, a lot of overlap. Yeah. But no, it was not any easier. In some ways, it was harder. So I think to try to keep it fresh, and I also chose a way to write it, which we'll probably talk about, that made it a bit harder. But it was fun to feel like, okay, I'm struggling a little bit here, but Rafa would appreciate that, and you kind of wanted to feel a little sweat on your brow, and I think I said with a slight tug of the
the shorts, exactly.
Slight tug of the shorts
between
paragraphs.
Yes, that's right. So that's again, speaking of the styles of writing a book, you were going and trying to see and feel the spots that those guys like grew up and learned and did things. You travel a lot. You travel a bunch, right?
Yep.
You try to get to the spot of everything. That's another very impressive things there because, like, even on the Fed book, you traveled everywhere that he's gone, and that's how was that?
Well, Roger, I interviewed Roger.
Yeah.
You know, this is all for, it's not just little old me, it's the New York Times and
Yes,
my old
Which
employer, the International Herald Tribune. It was like, hey, Roger, it's Chris, let's chat.
Yeah.
You know, it was for a good reason
course,
for
yeah.
him. It was a symbiotic sort of thing. We did interviews on 6 continents, which is kind of hard to do.
I know that's another
And that's kind of crazy when you think about it. And that just tells you how many miles we logged over time, and you know, car going through Buenos Aires after midnight after an
That's what
exo
you
against
started
Del
up with,
Potro, and talking at the Beijing Olympics, you know, with all that going on, and then talking to him when he, you know, barely looked like he had anything that was going to be elegance to him at all. He was kind of a crusty teenager.
Yeah.
So many different places and evolutions. But I really feel as a journalist, if you're going to write a book like this, you owe it to yourself and you owe it to your subject to try to get as much into the backstory as you can.
That's so much.
And
fun,
a guy like Nadal in particular is so anchored in his home area of Mallorca and his hometown of Manacor and Porto Cristo, which is the port town, 15 K away or so.
You were saying he's still there, right?
He's still there. I mean,
boat is still there.
if you're looking for,
so,
people say Rafa's grounded, and that's where he's grounded, but he's still grounded there,
Yep.
and I think will continue to be, despite all the, fine living that he'll do in his many homes and residences. But I think you need to go and feel the place. I speak Spanish.
Yeah.
Not always pretty, but I can get it done, so I can feel that, the language and the culture, and I think that makes a huge difference in your reporting to really sense where the story starts. And with Roger, I went back to South Africa to go down to Cape Town for the EXO with Nadal and Federer.
Yeah.
And one of the main reasons I went was I wanted just to feel Roger's mother's family roots down there. So I actually went to the place, the factory where, Lynette and Robert Federer met.
They met.
Sort of
That's
stood outside the
amazing.
gates and just sort of
I
felt
never knew
that.
That's
Felt the
such a-
vibe.
yeah.
So no meeting in the factory, no Roger, So all these things come together. So
That was another point you had, like the serendipity of everything happening there. How if it wasn't this, it wasn't that. It wasn't Peter Carter. It wasn't any of that.
Exactly.
None of that would have come to fruition. Like even small steps.
and Rafa,
Yeah.
it's Tony
Yeah.
Nadal.
Yes.
Rafa's in a sports family, but Rafa's in a family where, soccer is king.
Yep.
And Rafa is a very talented soccer player. You talk to
see
his
some-
youth coaches, will tell you the guy could have been a pro. So if no Tony, none of this would have happened.
Yeah.
No 14 French Opens, none of those things. So it's just funny when you look at it journalistically or in terms of the narrative, how sometimes just one person crossing somebody's path makes all the difference.
It does.
And all the knock-on effects. And you think, actually, it's funny, you think about it. Roger was not really destined to be a tennis player.
No.
His parents were not.
Yeah.
Really, they were recreational players.
Yeah.
No Peter Carter come into his town. No Roger. Rafa destined probably to be soccer. He loves soccer more than tennis.
Yeah, 'cause his
Tony
uncle.
comes along, shows his talent, almost becomes inevitable because he's so talented, and that's the choice. But then Novak's family is skiers.
Skiers, yeah.
In a town, no Jelena Gencic across the street at age 4 or 5.
Yeah.
No Novak. So all these things, it wasn't like, like you're Leighton Hewitt's kid and you're going to play tennis.
Yeah.
Not like that. It's a different scenario. All these guys kind of came to it in surprising ways.
It's so in all of them different. Yeah, and it's so cool to see like the evolution and all the big pieces they come to the making of a legend like that. And so you've been basically follow the whole path. Especially I didn't finish Rafa's book, but on the Fed book is you literally went everywhere. How was Buenos Aires with Del Potro there? Because that must have been
It's one of the better
crazy-
places after midnight that you can go.
Yeah, that's
Buenos Aires, they know how to live. It's good stuff, definitely. It's much later nights than Basel, where Roger's from, Switzerland.
That's so nice. And you've been going back a little bit to you, and you've been traveling with the family. You live in Seville, right? Is that?
I lived my life as I was a Navy kid.
Yes.
My dad was career Navy, and so we were going from coast to coast. I moved 13, 14 times before I turned 18.
Yeah.
A bunch of different schools.
And you were
went to
saying
Punahou out in Hawaii for a while.
Oh, there you
guys
go.
Maybe I've heard of that school where Obama went. And I went to high school and finished up in San Diego in Coronado High School. Then I went to Williams College out northeast.
Yep.
So I was always moving around a lot. And then my journalistic career was based in San Diego to start. Then I went to Europe.
Yeah.
And I was in Paris for 5 years. I was in Sevilla in Spain for 8 years.
Yeah.
And then I moved back to the
So
North
8
Shore.
years of
North Shore. But I've been, even being in the North Shore, up near
course.
Newburyport, I've been traveling loads ever since then too. So
Yeah, every time I talk to you, you're somewhere else, and that's
the way it is.
that's
That's-
great. Yeah, that's That's awesome. And you said you've been using tennis as ways of like making friends and getting involved in the community. So that's kind of like was your way, right? Is that how you?
Yeah,
picked
usually, except for today's match.
Yeah.
It's a different one. Having watched your serve, I'm not so sure how friendly I'm feeling right now.
That was a couple of lucky ones. That was it.
Yeah, there was nothing lucky about it, but that's okay.
Surprised
I
you
had some
didn't
lucky
storm
returns.
out. Yeah.
But no, you're right. Tennis is a wonderful, wonderful connector. It's one of the beautiful things about it. I suppose most sports have that in common. If you play, you pick up basketball or pick up soccer around the world, or golf, of course. But something about tennis. Tennis people do have this connection. I think it's a rhythm thing. It's a humility thing.
It's
also
a
to some
struggle,
degree.
yeah.
It's
the
also
struggle of it, right?
makes you mentally strong, having to fight through the sport, especially the singles aspect where you're out there alone.
Solving problems.
There's a lot of commonalities, and it's been for me. I say in the Federer book, I mean, it did save me when I was a kid. To be able to change towns every couple of years, and
that's what.
How do you connect? Well, sports. When you're a young guy in my era, that was the way to do it. So
instant circle of people.
Yeah, exactly. And connected. And some of my closest friends today are still people that
It's funny how that works.
That
right?
age. So I think it's a great thing. And then as a Navy kid, you're moving constantly. So covering the tennis circuit, what are you doing? I covered many sports. Tennis is the one I knew the best. You're always on the move, changing. But you also have a little tribe with you.
You do.
It's a tennis tour. I mean, I don't know how high level you played. Probably but
this
it's a tribe.
It is a tribe. It's a moving.
It's a nomadic.
Bunch. Nomadic. Yeah.
And the funny thing is, you can walk into Indian
Yeah.
Wells in the California desert locker room, and you can walk into Sopot and go to that one, a small 250 in Europe, and it feels there's a similar vibe.
There is. Everybody kind of knows what to do, knows the rhythm. That's how it goes.
Yeah, the coaches and the whole vibe. So it
is
is a home away from home in a sense. But what I love about tennis though is it's so global.
It is, right?
That's the great thing about it.
When did you decide? Because you covered a lot. Tell us a little bit about. You covered other stuff. I heard you talking with Jen that you were covering. So you covered a lot of stuff, but then you started to zone in just into.
Yeah, I think I when I left the New York Times a couple years ago, I worked for them and the Herald Tribune for about 30 years. Yeah. I think we added it up for fun. I think it was over 60 sports I'd written about.
Over 60.
Wow. And I did a lot of Olympics where you're covering a bunch of sports in a 3-week period. Winter Games, you're doing some everything from curling to ski jumping to alpine skiing to figure skating. And then, pretty much all kinds of different sports. But tennis was a sport that I played at the best level and the sport that I always enjoyed watching the most, maybe the NFL.
Yeah.
But tennis. And this is the one I connected with. And so a lot of times when you're a sports writer, you're hopping from sport to sport. You're not really an expert. You gotta learn fast and write about it.
You do, right?
But tennis, I always felt like I never got tired of it. Never got tired of writing about it. Never got tired of watching it. And I think that was, to me, a sign that I was meant to focus on that more than anything else.
You do have very good insights, deep technical insights in your book, at least from my point of view. So you see a lot of things that somebody that doesn't play the game doesn't see. I mean, you talk specifics about follow-throughs, the staying through contact, those little things that a tennis connoisseur knows. So yeah, it's a beautiful thing.
There's got to be like a bit of a difference for if you're writing articles and covering the sport, as opposed to once you're writing these books, you're like covering somebody's life a little bit. Yeah. Is there like a certain pressure you feel to I don't know, as you're writing this, to be like you're conveying all this info on these people's lives? Do you feel like you want to make sure you tell it the right way? Is that a whole different feel from when you're just covering the sport, writing an article?
Absolutely, Kevin. No question about it. I mean,
it feels heavy. It feels like it's
you live with it. You're sort of with that person and that personality and that. And in the case of the Rafa book, which is really a book about Rafa, but also about a place,
right,
and a substance, it's about clay, especially, and it's about Paris and Roland Garros. So
that other people love. It's
you're with this thing, and also you put all that time in. And you know these guys, they're not my friends. I'm a journalist.
Yeah.
I know them, and I know their teams, and you want to do it justice.
Right.
Not just because of your own self, but because of them.
For them,
if and when they read it, you want them to feel like, you did it justice.
Right.
And I knew that because of the background that I had and all this amazing access and connection that I'd had with these people, that I had a chance to write a good book.
Right.
I didn't want to choke.
Yeah.
Honestly. Yeah. To be honest, you don't want to choke. Right. You want to deliver. And that was certainly a bit of pressure involved in that. But I think writing a book certainly uses your journalistic skills, the reporting that you're going to do, you know, how you choose to conduct your interviews, you know, what rocks you turn over.
Do you have?
But it's a very different thing though than writing a newspaper article, for example, because a newspaper article is kind of like a haiku, and this is like a whole different level of complexity, because if you're reading along and you're in chapter 3 and something starts to bog down, and you're just going to go, I'm done. Yeah. Newspaper article, I mean, you're in and out in a flash. Right. This is a whole different deal, and honestly, it's the hardest thing I've done in my career was to try to write these, because it's such a change in format and a change in structure. And if you don't get the structure just right in these books, they fall apart, I think, and that's the key thing. So you really, when I wrote a newspaper article, I'd rock up at the match, watch the match, take some notes. How do I want to start it? What's my starting image? What's my ending image? Right. Yeah. And I'd go still do it. Just do it. Because I had 3 hours or 2 hours or 1 hour. But a book, if you don't have a good structure, good outline, it's going to fall apart on you. And you can feel that.
I've always wondered if you, like, when you're writing something that size, whether it's pre-planned, so by the time you sit down in front of your typewriter or whatever you're using.
That's back in the day.
I know. I always picture writers like in a small room surrounded by books on a typewriter, like cigarette with the cigarette holder.
Now it's probably more chocolate than a cigarette.
But like, if it's totally pre-planned, or if at some point you just start writing and it sort of takes on something of its own, and maybe it even goes in a direction you don't mean to, which I guess could be dangerous, because it could just be rambling. I mean, I send text messages that get away from me, and that's a small. I'm booking a lesson. You know, a half hour, an hour is all I need to ask, and I'm including stories about me in second grade. Like that doesn't need to be there. A book, it's the organ. Like, I don't know, where does it? You have that thing totally planned out before.
No can ramble. I think ramble is not going to work for a lot of people in the audience. You start to go too far off afield. But I think in the case of the Federer book, to sell it, these are major publisher books. So it's a game you gotta be able to win at. Right. So the Federer book, I wrote out pretty detailed treatment of it. Okay. Proposal, they call it. Yeah. Which is basically a 50 or 60 page, chapter by chapter, blow by blow of what you're going to do.
And knowing the way you want to tell it.
Of course you can change it after, but that's what they're buying.
Yeah.
So you can't give them that and then just deviate radically from that without them knowing. So the Federer book, because I hadn't had the background doing it, it had to be really detailed. And in the second book, they go, hey, the Federer book was a New York Times bestseller. You did a great job. We'll go with it. Do it. Yeah. But I still didn't want to, because I knew from the first time that if I didn't have, what can happen? And I didn't discipline myself, and I tried to wing it, I was going to blow it. Mm-hmm. So I said I needed to look down, especially because I wanted to do it in this complex way, alternating life of Rafa, life of Roland Garros, life of Rafa. Right. How do you make the clay? Where does it come from? Who are these guys making his clay that he wins on? So it was a kind of an in and out sort of look, and I knew that if I didn't have it structured, it would be hard to keep it together. You don't have everything, and then you talk to somebody along the way, and you go, "Oh my gosh, I didn't know that." Right. I talked to one of those coaches from when he was young, and he's like, Rafa played at light speed when he was young. There was none of this, like, take forever to serve, take forever to bounce the ball. He was like, give me the ball, boom, give me the ball, boom, give me the ball, boom. Yeah. And they were worried he was going to burn himself out.
So they have him slow down.
So they had him slow down. So they gave him routines. And then it became a monster.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
But that's the thing you learn as you're reporting your book, and that wasn't in my outline. Yeah. Right. You got to find a place for that, right? Because that's just gold.
That is gold. And all those stories that you're getting into, again, I refer a lot to the Fed book, because that's the one I actually even re-listened to certain parts or reread certain parts. You take so many of those characters that don't feel important, but you go into the depths of that, like a Peter Carter.
Or Pierre Paganini.
Or Paganini, how important was he? Yeah, into that. I want to get into that a little bit, because that to me is probably one of the hidden weapons of Fed. Right, but you study all of those guys, and you went like, okay, well, tell me what you're about, and that was such a cool way, because it grabs you almost like you get into a different story that's part of this other bigger story. Yeah,
also because Roger told us over the years, me and us and people who were covering him, that these people were really important to him. Yeah. So if they're really important to him, and he's going to tell you that, you want to understand why, and if you get the chance to. Pierre gave very few interviews during Roger's career. And I was able to get a couple of the really in-depth ones over the time, and it was great to be able to include that in the book, because I think Peter Carter, who was his boyhood coach, Mirka, his wife, who was a former player, parents, and then I guess Severin Luthi over a long period of time, even though he was more of a subtle thing. Those are the key figures. So you're writing a book about Roger, you need to understand those people, just like you need to understand Tony. If you're writing about Rafa, you have to understand the personality.
Do you find that those guys, being, legends of the game, obviously, they needed to have 5, 6, 7 strong characters around them? Like, you feel like that's the recipe these days. You can't just have one. I feel like they had all parts of their life covered, like, correctly. Like, they had a good family, like the coaching was right, the girlfriend was right, all of that part was like taking, it was not too wild, it was not too, they were really like zoned in on that stuff.
I agree. I think it's very important. I mean, obviously you can make a few mistakes when you're
of course
ungodly gifted like Roger is, and he can overcome some obstacles and mistakes, but really I think it's vital. And then you look at one of the reasons I did a big chunk in the Federer book about Murat Safin.
Yes.
Who I loved.
Yeah, I love Safin.
I knew he was a Murat fan in this table, but I love watching Murat.
I love it.
Partly because you never knew what the heck he was going to do.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But the guy was an amazing shot maker.
Right.
I have a one-handed backhand, unfortunately, at times. Murat had this amazing two-hander. I just remember thinking, the guy leaping 6'4" two-handed backhand, just boom from anywhere. Just a genius. Murat could have won 9 or 10 majors with his talent, no question.
Yeah.
But he didn't. And why did he not? Why did he win 2? And kind of burn out, and why does a guy like Federer, who I think had a higher level of talent, but is it a 20-2 gap in terms of talent? No, I don't think it is.
Right.
So I think understanding why some guys, because Roger for a while there was in that phase of 2001-2.
It was like
it was not. Yeah, you knew how good he could be, but could he be that good?
Yeah.
And we knew how good Murat could be, but could he be that good? And the answer for Roger was he could be amazing, and a lot of those choices that you referred to were pivotal to that. And he was sometimes had to be pretty brutal and tough. He had to pick, Peter Lundgren to coach him instead of Peter Carter, who he was closer to personally.
Did he talk to you about that? Did he
it was traumatic. One of the toughest decisions of his life to
right?
make that choice, and it really affected Peter, the rest of his life, and he died too young. So all those things are tough. But he had to think about the bottom line in his career and what he needed. So those are things that are critical. And Murat will tell you that mentally he didn't find the right support and
he didn't have that.
Wasn't able to overcome some of the demons
system,
with him because maybe he didn't seek the help that he needed when he needed to, and he didn't make the right choices with his off-court life either.
Yes.
So all those things are factors, and I think these guys are so bloody good that if you didn't make a bunch of right choices, you were not going to be able to keep pace.
That's the thing. You need that. You cannot just be this one trick one-man show. Probably is a better way. You
it's kind of thought of like that. Tennis like an individual sport, but it really is a team sport. I mean, you got
feels like more today. It's a team sport.
Yeah, maybe more than in the past.
That's right, Mike. I mean, think about Borg back in the day. Read a lot about Borg in the Nadal book because he was the king of clay until Rafa comes along. But Bjorn had Lennart Berglund, who was his coach, and that was unusual in those days to have a full-time traveling coach. This is the 70s, right?
Yep.
And now, if you don't have coach,
physio,
part-time coach, physio,
hitting partner, traveling hitting partner, your own stringing team.
You look over at sometimes Djokovic's team; they're all wearing the hats and stuff. You go, my God! I mean, it's it's like bigger than a basketball team.
Yeah, it's a big payroll.
And that's true too. The money has allowed them to do that.
Yeah.
But also I think the mentality has shifted, and obviously this is the rules. The rules of the sport have shifted now.
Yes.
You can coach during a match.
Correct.
Which I personally don't like, but that's what the sport has decided.
Changes,
to do.
right?
Mm-hmm. And it reflects the change in what you guys talk philosophy that it is viewed more as maybe like Formula One, where you got the driver.
Yeah, but then you have that everything else.
Not to that extreme, but not far off.
Yeah, but you know what's going to go. It might get that far. It might get to the earpieces, and you have like a change.
T serve, wide. You listen to Brian Shelton.
That's the other night, right?
Like that, right?
Yeah. So go there, do the hybrid tea, do all this. Yeah, it's
I don't like it.
Yeah.
But again, how much does the average person watching tennis really notice that? I notice it because I go, I want my champion to be solving the problems.
Yeah.
I know Rafa and Roger cared about that.
Yeah.
But how much of the average person watching notices that?
Right.
We had Bud Schultz here a little while ago, and we were talking about this, and we're saying like right now it's such a common thing for the players to look at their boxes like after every point, won or lost. It's like it's a team effort. They're looking at that. Like you didn't see much of that back in the day. It was just because they had to be by themselves. So this is problem solving in there. No, you're good. Problem solving in their mind. Right now, you do have a support system there that will help you, will tell you where to serve, will tell you if you should back up, because you see them all. Like, should I back up? Should I stay in? What do you think? But I don't know where it's going to go. Is the speed of the game too fast for it to allow somebody to enter a player's mind? was like, is that gonna go that far?
I remember Roger telling me, he's like, you can have all the plans you want, but
Yeah.
ultimately you're going to be reacting.
Yes.
The pace of the game has gotten such you're going to react.
Yeah.
Right.
And so, maybe where you stand at return serve, that's static, or
Yeah.
where you go with
Yeah.
your service location. But after that,
Right.
you are in improv mode. And
Yeah, you
react
basically
mode,
have
Yeah.
to. Yeah.
muscle
It's not enough
memory
time
mode.
to.
So,
Yeah, it's interesting. It's definitely.
but the last thing I'll say on that,
What's up?
this is a big topic, but
Yeah.
people have argued to me, I've been, maybe jousting with windmills, who knows, but I wanted to keep the sport the way it was. I really liked it that way. So I used my platform at the Times to write a lot about, preserve this. What are you giving away? And people would say, every other sport.
Yeah, of course, but
They
we're
let you
not any other
coach.
sport.
Why wouldn't tennis?
Yeah.
Well, I said, well, it's cool to be different.
Yeah, that's what makes it great.
Right.
Yeah, so let's
Yeah.
lean into the difference.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, the
Yeah.
stable is wide open and the horses.
Right.
Yeah,
at this point.
It's
The other thing people would say about it is, you mean they're not being coached already, like with hand signals and watching Steffi Graf's father roam around the stadium, and so the officials couldn't find where he was, and he's hand signaling Steffi, and the coaching had been already going on.
Right.
So they're saying bring it out in the open. I don't know if that's necessarily a very good argument.
You're right. That was the other argument you heard a lot, and I guess there's something compelling to that. It's like, if everybody's going 85 on 95 highway, do you want to just change the law and make it 85, or you
Right.
want to keep it sort of the sort of idea?
Yeah.
But to me, it's a little different. I mean, it's if you got, guy giving you the tap of the nose for tea, or like a little bit of that, or yelling out the first name with the first letter meaning something. Okay, not the same thing as really materially coaching somebody during a match and like having an extended conversation about tactics and also just your state of mind. Trying to really get into how you're feeling and that kind of thing. And that's there's some beauty in that, but also that does change the equation. And sometimes a mentally strong player who can solve problems under duress is now lost some of his advantage.
Yeah, that can be the difference out there.
Yeah. I respect that, because I was the guy who was always not going to be that tough guy. And I always go, wow, I'm impressed my opponent can do this, and I really can't. And so that's a differentiator. But that's just not the way maybe the sport has gone. And it's also the money and the specialization within it. But I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how it all plays out. I feel like I like it better as the gladiatorial aspect.
That's a good way to put it. That's right. Gladiators out there, man. That's a good way to put it. What I wanted to touch a little bit on is you interviewing some of those big legends. You talk with Hewitt and obviously Safin, Sampras, Navratilova. When you go and talk with them, like, where are they mentally, like, on their position in the sport and all that stuff? Are they at peace? They feel good about it? They're like happy to talk about the sport, and or they're done with it? Because Sampras seems to me like a player that kind of like stepped away from it. And did they all have that passion, or still being done?
I think you can sort of see. I mean, people would come back and want to be commentators.
Yes.
And want to be involved, like a courier.
Yeah.
Jim will tell you he was not great with us when he was peak of his career. He was pretty prickly and not really fully engaged with the press. And
he's got great insights.
He got burned on some stories when he was early, maybe one or two stories early, and that kind of turned him on the press. But as you can see, the guy's passion, knowledge.
He is, he's great insights, man.
Eloquence, those things are high level. So that's passion.
Yeah.
And Navratilova, I mean, money's good, but Martina's still out there talking about it, and Chrissy Everett and people like that. And I think they really bring a lot to the game through that process. And I don't think you'd do that if you didn't feel that enduring passion.
Okay.
Pete is somebody, I knew Pete well.
Yep.
When I covered, he was the first wave of players I covered was that generation. Agassi, Sampras, Chang.
Yep.
And those guys. And I felt like, Pete loved to compete, and he was a phenomenal competitor, and he had a great record in big matches, and dominated Andre most of the time in big matches. And if you had one guy to hit a serve on a big point, I think I might still pick him of anybody to do it. Such a clutch. And second serve too. He knew what to do. He could just do it.
That
Beautiful
motion,
technique,
man. Yeah.
Motion,
clean,
but also just nails.
Yeah.
But he didn't like the rest of it. He didn't like the
that's why I was
press
trying to get
conferences.
after,
He didn't like the front and center. He's an introvert.
Yeah.
Deep down. And I have a lot of respect for Pete, and I think he's gotten lost in the shuffle because of his records being surpassed fairly quickly by the guys that came afterward. But he was a big-time player. Never went on clay except for the Italian Open. But in a way, I respect it. he is what he is. And he's
It's just-
decided to sort of not play, I'll be eternally Pete Sampras and shake your hand forever. He keeps his own
Yeah, because
counsel.
I guess
But I don't think does he love the game less because of that? I think he loves the game as a whole
Yes.
less, but the part of the game that matters most, I think he still loves it.
He still loves it, still watch, yeah.
Went up there and playing
See-
you on a big point for what matters.
Yeah, all those guys. Safin, too. So good to see him a little bit this spring and helping out Rublev.
yeah.
Let's get back in. Because you want somebody that'll run the sport. And I'm sure he
Yeah.
it, but I'm not sure where
But
he's
there
at.
are passion differences. Like
Yes.
you talked to Billie Jean King.
Yeah.
I know I've known Billie Jean. I didn't cover Billie Jean's career, but I
Yep.
came after. Unbelievable level.
Yeah,
Never tires.
that's it.
Just constantly just getting energy and promoting the sport. I'm like, don't, Billy, what's going on? I asked her that question when I saw her last time in London at an event. I said, you just don't, I see you everywhere. She goes, I'm running out of time.
Gotta love that though.
That's it,
Gotta love that. It's
I'm
awesome.
running out of time.
Yeah.
I gotta do it all while I can.
Yeah.
So, that's amazing.
Yeah.
How was you were there for this year? Speaking of Nadal, you were there for the big celebration there, right? I think we exchanged some texts when you were about to go there. How was that feel? How was that vibe there?
Well, it was a bittersweet experience because it was a beautiful ceremony. I don't know if,
Yep.
if you guys all watched
Yeah.
it.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Sure it was.
But it was fantastic. I thought they really did him right. They caught the man, and they did a lovely job of presenting it. And
Yep.
a lot of the time he was out there on the clay, on his own, just the lectern and Rafa and watching the images. And,
Yes.
and he was so often in a world of his own on the clay. Anyway, it's a
Yeah.
wonderful symbol.
Mm.
It's just a beautiful thing. They did a great job. But the bitter part of it was like, that's another chapter, man.
Yeah.
And my book's done.
Come on, that would have been great.
So I was like, this is almost, every time it got better, I was like, Because the book's about Roland Garros and
Yes,
clay,
yeah,
and
that's it, yeah.
and there he is saying goodbye to it all, and it's not in my book. So I got the the real moment of departure
yes.
in Mallorca, or not Mallorca, sorry, in Malaga when they played Davis Cup.
yeah,
And it was
Davis
such a downer and such a.
It was.
Rafa loses the
yeah.
singles, and then Alcaraz is not a great doubles player, even though he's a great
lost,
player,
yeah.
and they lose the doubles. They lose to the Netherlands on the night they weren't supposed to lose. Nobody's there. No Fed, no Djokovic, no Tony.
Yeah, no.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
that
And
was
Rafa gives his speech after midnight, and it was a good speech, but it was just not the moment that
No.
anybody thought he should have had it.
Right.
And so that was the end.
Yeah.
But honestly, having seen the thing in Paris, that was the
Yeah.
end.
That was the end.
Yeah.
That was the closure.
That was the end.
Yeah.
And it was beautiful.
It was.
So hopefully when the paperback comes out,
Yeah. There you
we'll
go.
have another chapter.
That's
Do
it.
you have a certain connection with Roland Garros more than any of the? I feel like on your Instagram a while back, I saw you were like biking in
Yeah.
and just sort of, I don't know, talking about living close by and sort of, I don't know, it seemed like you had maybe some type of major connection there, maybe more than some of the other Grand Slams.
Yeah, my wife of 34 years is French. She's from
Okay.
Paris.
Okay.
Grew up not far from there. And when I first got married, I lived 4 blocks away from Roland Garros, and I used to go there all the time.
Yeah.
Played bad soccer on the field next to it before they started taking over the whole grounds in that area. So yeah, I felt very much for me. That's why I wrote the book the way that I wrote it. You could argue there's maybe a little too much of me. I tried not to overdo it.
Yep.
I don't know if any of you guys have finished it yet, but I did insert myself more than I normally would in one of my products that I write. But I felt like it was appropriate because of the deep connection I did have.
Right.
I basically learned the language and learned a lot about life from that tournament, and it's the one I've covered the most of any event in sports, the most regularly, and it means a lot to me.
Yeah.
So the pressures that you mentioned before, Kevin, was not just to Rafa but also to the place and wanting to do justice to this place that has taught me a lot.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah, that's each one of those big tournaments, right? Because you traveled all over the world. They do have they have their own feel, right? They have their own, especially those big temples like Wimbledon and French Open. And
But you know,
That's really- yeah.
from your own background,
Yeah.
European background,
yes,
I don't think you can fully appreciate Roland Garros unless you speak French. I think to really understand what the whole vibe is of
It's
it and what's
interesting,
going
yeah.
on, I think you can appreciate
Yeah.
it, but to really get the core of it,
get in it.
I think you have to speak the language and understand, the way it operates and what it means in French culture. And that I spoke horrible French when I moved there, and I got pretty good by the end. So that process really helped me, I think.
Kids speak. You have 3, right? And they speak.
Yeah, well, I mean, my French is fine.
Yeah,
Fluent,
but your
but
kids.
my Spanish is a little rusty for sure, but I can. Yeah,
Yeah. And your kids are speaking French too. They
they do.
That's nice.
We always spoke both languages.
That's
at the house.
beautiful. That's nice. That's such an important thing.
You got to defend yourself, man.
Yeah.
You got to know the language.
Yeah.
You can't have your kids talking behind you.
You had a chapter there when you were talking about with Fed about Nadal, and what I found it interesting there how he was talking Nadal from the perspective of the entire game of tennis, not just the player, what he does to the game. That was a cool way to put it because Fed did have that mindset of just looking at it from a bigger picture, like zone out a little bit and kind of see everything. He wasn't talking specifically about like his shortcomings against him initially, but he was talking about how good is he for the game of tennis, right? So that's, to me, was one of Fed's like biggest strengths there, to understand and see the bigger picture.
It is, and the time that conversation took place was 2005, before the French Open, before Rafa had played the French Open or won the French Open, obviously. And he was about to arrive.
Yeah.
Everybody knew what they were in for. Trouble.
If they felt
Roger included,
he knew.
but he was also talking about Rafa in a wider context. He already had played matches against him of import, Miami final, things like that.
Home final.
But he could feel that this guy was a phenom. He could feel that, unlike Roger, he was a pretty complete product mentally.
He was
at a very early age.
Early.
Not as much as tennis.
Yeah.
But mentally, he was a fully formed figure
at
18, 19, whereas the other guys, no chance.
Yep.
That's something exceptional about Rafa. But Roger's very emotionally intelligent guy, and he understood all those things. But you're right. I remember this discussion was in one of the nicest interview locations I've ever been in, the Crillon Hotel, which is on the Place de la Concorde in Paris, which is the massive, very elegant square, and they were on the top floor of this for the interview. You feel like you were interviewing Louis the 16th or something like that.
Really?
Or maybe the 14th, better for Roger. You don't want to be the 16th. But so he was talking about Rafa and saying, he's a lefty, which is great. We don't have that many lefties in the game anymore.
Exactly.
We need lefties to make the game more interesting. And he's, can you imagine how strong he's going to be in 5 years? Look at him now. He's 18, 19? And so he was talking about him in these terms, and it was interesting.
It was.
That Roger is a big tennis fan. He watches a lot of tennis. And I was just laughing because I was like, well, that's great that you think all this, but he's not going to help you any.
Yeah.
But he might argue that he did help him ultimately because
I think they did.
Why did Roger play on and get better and improve things?
Right.
Because Rafa was there to remind him he couldn't rest on it.
It's amazing to have that perspective while you're still playing.
I know, he was
the
young
game. It
too.
seems like you could have that after and look back and take that, but while being inside it still, like having enough perspective to be like, no, this is actually good for the game, and not just be worried about like, well, man, I'm gonna have my hands full
what's he
with
gonna
this
take
guy.
from me?
Yeah.
But he hadn't gotten crushed by him in the 2008 French Open final yet. He might not have had those same comments after that.
I was, he
remember that?
Yes, I do remember. It was like 1-3, 0-3-1, something like that. It was.
I should know the score by heart, but I think he won 7 or 8 games total.
Yeah, you can look that up, right? It was about, and he had something. I only heard him say that once. French Open final, like 2008. He said that he was looking at the iconic 2008 Wimbledon final, and he was trying to look at it from all sorts of objective point of view. He's like, look, maybe I played him too much on clay. Maybe I lost to him too much on clay before that, and maybe that final of the French Open was still in my head while we played at 2008 Wimbledon. So
True.
Could have been, could not, but that's a good way to look at it. He was putting it, again, bigger perspective, not just the match. It's like, look, I lost to him so much on clay before that. He has to, even if you're better than him on grass, you got to think about that.
Yeah, because the years before, obviously, Rafa won, reeled off 4 straight when he started, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Yeah.
And Roger had lost to him. I think he lost to him in 3 of the 4 years, and then went on to win Wimbledon.
Yes.
So that had worked for him. He lost to Rafa, but he hadn't lost to Rafa that way.
Yes.
Rafa humiliated him.
Yes.
And Roger was playing well.
Yes.
I watched the match again. So, Roger must have choked, played horribly.
No.
Actually, no. He didn't play horribly.
No.
Right.
It was just
Rafa just was.
still
He wasn't
remember.
peak Rafa. He was one of the peak Rafas.
Yeah.
And Roger was hitting a series of great shots, and
Just
ultimately, Rafa would just resist it and trump card. So that's
1-3-0. Yeah, there you go.
4 games.
4 games.
Yeah, so 4 games.
Fun, yeah.
Yeah, that was in his head. But I would say 2007 Wimbledon final
Yeah.
was one of the few times Rafa had regrets. He felt like he didn't quite give his all. He's crying in the shower afterward, just
Was he?
sobbing.
Yeah.
I wasn't there, obviously, but
Yeah.
that's what he
Yeah.
talked about. But he said, I let the match go. So there's that background. So Rafa already knew
Yeah.
that he could take him,
Yeah.
and he had the potential. So that plus the 08 drubbing in the final of the French Open, those two worked together.
Probably.
And Rafa, was a phenomenal player. The changes in grass conditions allowed for a guy like Rafa to succeed on the grass, and he seized it.
He did.
And he won again in 2010. So
Yeah. Two of them.
no fluke.
Yeah, exactly.
It's actually more of a fluke that he never won again, to be honest.
It's a good point. It's a good point.
Just like the craziest thing of all, Federer didn't win the U.S. Open again after
08. Isn't that crazy?
with his game.
5 times in a row.
That's crazy.
5 times in a row, and then
never again.
Yeah, it's true. You also did a very good portraying of transformation, like the mental transformation of Fed, and how he came from a young kid and brash and having some nervous breakdowns and so forth to becoming who he was. And what made you kind of focus on that? Because that's obviously a very important part. Because that was you portrayed it in the book very nicely.
Well, I think a book of this length needs some dramatic tension.
Yeah.
I'm not going to make it up.
Yeah.
But I think that's a pretty dramatic arc. And I think the interesting thing about writing the book and the promotional aspect of it afterward. This book came out in 21, so he was still playing. He was very near the end of his career, obviously, but 20 years is a long time, and a lot of people had forgotten.
Yeah. Yeah. We forget.
The early years.
Yeah.
Just as they have with Rafa too.
Yeah.
And I think people got a lot out of learning about Roger's journey, which you might think could take it for granted. Oh, yeah, everybody knew he was a hothead. Everybody knew he was. They didn't know quite to what degree.
Yeah.
And they didn't know how he transformed it.
Yeah.
Because he didn't talk a lot about that.
No.
But he really did. And it was really a feat of reinvention, a feat of self-control, and a feat of lucidity, I would say, that he was able to analyze how he played his best tennis. And a guy like Murat Safin, not to pile on Murat Safin,
No.
I personally love, but
I love him too. Yeah.
Murat never controlled it all, and one of the reasons why he didn't reach his peak or his potential was because of that, I think. But Roger shut it all down,
Yeah.
put on the mask. People say you have to play like you are to succeed, but that's not true.
No.
Neither Roger nor Rafa plays probably like they are deep down. And it's interesting. Roger is self-critical. Roger is probably a temperamental, emotional,
Yeah.
hothead guy, but he was able to realize that his best tennis did not come from those highs and lows emotionally, and he also was giving the opponents that window
Right.
into his vulnerability, and that was hurting him. But it was a process. It took many years.
Yeah. I did not know that, and that was another one of those beautiful things in your book there that I didn't know that he worked with. I can't remember his name.
Christian Marcoli.
That's right, Marcoli. Yeah.
Yeah, it was very early years of Marcoli. He's a Swiss
exactly.
performance
He was young
psychologist.
too, and that was new at the time,
Yeah.
right? And he took that on. He worked with him, and after that he just shifted. That was another one
age 16, 17, he did it
Yeah.
first time, and then
Yeah.
they ended up going their separate ways. But I know Christian really helped him with stuff like eye control. Roger's very high strung. I'm kind of shifting around in my chair here, but he would sort of shift and get distracted and middle of matches and kind of go off the boil because he would shift his attention to the stands or something happened. And he and Christian worked a lot. I know. I'm talking to Christian about eye control. Where you put your gaze on the strings between points, clearly on the net or the between.
Yeah.
Not so much when the ball's in play,
Correct.
but all the stuff in between. And that's a lot of players get lost in that point of the game. They lose their way. That's why you see these highs and lows.
That's why
And Roger focused a lot on that, and that was very helpful. And I know also just understanding what the expectations were. And Christian didn't go into huge detail with me, but I know how he works, and
Of course you can't go.
and he's had a lot of success. He's worked with alpine skiers since then, big soccer stars. And he's a really interesting guy.
It's such a smart thing to do at that age, at that time, to recognize that, hey, I need a little help here.
Yep.
As a young teenager with a family, with everything else, and just do it. Because I'm not sure how many players at that time were doing that. Maybe they were. But
First guy I know who really did it big time was Lendl.
Lendl was going.
Lendl used performance psychology
Okay.
pretty early on.
Oh, wow.
And in tennis, other
Yeah.
sports perhaps much more. I don't
Yes.
know, but tennis for sure. Lendl was the guy who, kind of in his bid to turn over every rock to reach excellence.
But you don't think of that when you think of Lendl. You think of the commitment to his physical condition and his diet and his training regimen, but you don't think of the sports psych end of Lendl when you discuss his rising through the ranks and so forth.
Yeah, I think he and Martina Navratilova both upped the game in terms of the whole player.
Yeah.
Trying to hit all these aspects of. Obviously, they used the tools of the time, but
Yep.
those have since changed some. But they really were maximizers of those different tools, and I think that was a big reason they hit such big highs for a while. I mean, Ivan went all in for the grass, never won Wimbledon, but I don't think he feels he has any regrets. He went for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was training.
Nobody could get him to stop.
Plucking
Plucking those eyelashes, though, huh? I mean, let's start there.
Tennis will do all kinds of things.
Yeah, right? Go about a sign of stress.
Yeah. That was his focal point.
Yeah, that's right.
It's
It's a
lock
tough
in.
one. Yeah.
But he was a choker, remember?
Four Grand
Yeah.
Slams, right?
He was a choker early. He
Early.
couldn't get across
Early.
the line, and that
Yeah.
McEnroe
That-
final
back
at
in-
French
yeah, the
Open,
French Open.
'84.
I can still see that
you-
volley that
Is that his
McEnroe
fifth
missed.
final that he won? Or
That was his first.
this first, but his fifth final that he got into, right? Did he lose 4 finals first?
That's right.
Something that 4
Yeah.
finals and he won
Oh,
the
really?
fifth? Yeah,
I
yeah.
didn't realize that.
I think
Yeah.
it was the similarity between him and Murray when he was coaching Murray. Murray got his first, I think, around maybe the 5th one. I can look that up, but I think it was one of those that he took him a bit to do that.
They were the same at one point. I know that Murray
Yeah.
and Lendl were at the same level. A number of times they hadn't
They
gone
had-
across
yeah.
the line.
4 and also a little bit of a little mental state, which is I thought is interesting because you got into some depths with Fed too, and we're gonna get to Nadal as well. But the importance for him to create that positive entourage, but also taking constructive criticism from them, because a lot of players, like their ego knows that they won't let that happen, but he was open to that, right?
Well, everybody that worked with him that I talked to, I mean, the only people if they're telling the truth,
Yeah.
Roger would be able to take.
Yeah.
He wants you to give him the full impression and would encourage it.
Yeah.
He would pick people carefully. He wanted positive people around him,
And he wanted to know the why, right?
But he also he didn't want somebody who would be overly negative, overly critical. He wanted positive energy people. That was always very important to him. Didn't like somebody who doesn't like conflict.
Yeah.
Doesn't like ripples in the water. He likes to be smooth, which is kind of matches up with the game, I guess. And he picked people that were like Paul Anacone.
Yeah.
Is
Yeah.
a guy who's
Yes,
very engaging.
he's very positive.
Yeah,
very
positive
you listen
guy.
to him is very positive. Yeah.
He'll look for the good thing, and Severin Luthi is also
Yes.
like that.
He seems
Peter Lundgren was if you ever knew Peter was just a
yeah,
sadly
obviously
passed now,
yeah.
but he was a good
Yeah,
time, good
past
vibes.
the last couple of
kinda,
years,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Last couple of years.
He had
diabetes
a
or
lot
something.
of things along the way that were tough for him. I know,
Yeah.
but Roger's time with him when he was very young, I think they had a good time.
Yeah.
He wasn't the kind of guy who was like disciplinary and strict kind of guy. So I think Roger picked those personalities. But once he had you in the circle, he wanted to hear your full analysis of his game, and he encouraged that. They had a lot of roundtable discussions about
They were,
details
right?
of
It's,
things.
yeah.
That's the way they worked. Yeah.
What do you think? And you said it there, but because we always talk about it. What do you think him and Cahill, what that would have done? Because they tried and decided not to. Right?
Yeah, but they
Still-
tried for a couple of weeks, I guess. Was it
Yeah.
going to be in Dubai? They got together.
Mhm.
Yeah, I don't know the whole story there.
Yeah.
I remember I did some stories on that when they were
Yep.
together, thinking it would be a great fit. Darren said, part of the reason was honestly he was so close to Peter Carter. They were both Australians
Yeah.
from Adelaide.
Yeah. Yeah. They were
They knew
good.
each other well,
Yeah.
and Peter's death was extremely painful to Darren.
Yeah.
And he had gotten to know Roger through Peter.
Yeah.
And he honestly felt like it was just too hard. He kept bringing
Interesting,
that up. I'm not saying that's why it didn't work, but I
Correct.
know that was an aspect of
Yep.
the dynamic for Darren.
He is one of the greatest coaching minds in my book, Cahill.
Yeah.
It's really like
Today's game.
yes,
Yeah.
and he stays up with the game. And he's what do you say? This is going to be his last year coaching Sinner, or Sinner's going to be the last player he's coaching, something like that.
Well, he was supposed to step away after this season.
this season, right?
And I know Yannick had the bet at Wimbledon where he said, if I win, then
Oh, really? Is that it? I didn't know that.
I get to decide
Really?
before the final.
Oh, wow.
But obviously, Darren wouldn't have allowed that scenario if he wasn't thinking about it. I mean,
Correct.
makes sense if the Aussie Open
Yeah.
coming up, Sinner again.
Of course.
And I'm sure Yannick can create a scenario where Darren doesn't need to travel as much. I'm sure Darren's it's just tough, you know.
It's
just,
tough, especially to travel number
it's a
one in the world.
grind, yeah. And it's been an emotional year with Sinner, with all of that.
Right.
All of that, yeah.
Yeah.
He's doing great with it regardless. It's just kind of like, okay.
Yeah.
Just,
But it's tough.
yeah.
And then
Of course it
before
is.
that, he had Simona Halep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Darren I'd coached as well
I
and was
know.
very close to. So I know those
Yep.
have taken a toll on Darren, I'm sure, too. Those
I know.
processes, even though in Sinner's case, the evidence doesn't show he's some intentional doper. Or anything.
Correct. Yeah. That's a tough one there. You have anything for us right there? Fifth for Murray, he got his Grand Slam. There was a bet. Okay. Okay. Oh, really? And you were also, I have a couple of notes here. You were talking about like Federer being cross-eye dominant, right? And you were looking into that, and that's what I'm talking. You're looking at such a specific things there in his VO2 max that was like so off the charts, right? You're looking into all of those things that create him saying things like so subtle but so important. All those things they put out there.
Paul Dorochenko, who was
Yes.
his early fitness trainers, Pierre Paganini was the main guy,
Yeah.
obviously, for most of Roger's career. But Dorochenko was, I think his nationality is French. He's got an international background, but he was very focused on that,
Yeah.
pun intended. But he was definitely a guy who thought that was really important to understand and to design your game based around where your eye dominance was. I know a guy like Mourad Toglu now talks a lot about that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
But Dorochenko was the first guy I ever heard talk about it much.
Yeah.
And he looked at Roger, and I'm going to get confused on which eye is which now, but I know it was something that
He was cross-eyed. He was his left eye dominant on his, which has made him. Yeah.
So it does in terms of your tracking, in terms
Yep.
of how you track certain shots.
But all those things are such important details that you put out there that people don't think about. That's why I'm saying
Yeah, I mean,
it's a great
these
thing.
guys, to be able to compete, they were looking for they're all just off-the-charts tennis players and
Yes.
athletes, but
Right?
because there are enough of them,
You've seen them all,
where,
right? It's-
where were the fine lines going to be? They were going to
Yeah.
be in elements like that where you were able to separate by small things. And
tiny
I
margins.
know Roger's team embraced a lot of the analytics pretty early on.
They did, right?
They were paying
Yep.
a service to give them information that was proprietary. Roger talked to him, would never sound like he was that interested in, but his coaching team was.
Yeah.
And they would try to feed him stuff selectively that might be helpful.
Djokovic does that a lot too, right?
yeah.
And ATP now provides. I think
Oh,
WTA too. They
Many
provide
do.
all
But
of that,
but
right?
those guys, the elite guys, had the money to do it ahead of the curve.
Or ahead of the
before.
curve, yeah.
And the Australians started to provide it, and the Americans started to provide it, but
It's right. The
those guys
Aussie
were even-
Federation,
were
right?
even ahead of it. Yeah.
We touched on this and we talked about like, is the discrepancy in winnings and money now is going to create an advantage? It always has been, but it's going to create even bigger with technology and the ability to hire like 5 coaches or like 5 staff members with your psychologist, your physio, your coach, your 2 coaches. Now you have a guy that has all of that, and a guy that is 100 in the world cannot afford that. How is he going to break through?
Yeah.
You know, but you have to do
How
it.
much do you need? I don't know.
Yeah.
I guess clearly it's an advantage, big advantage in a sport like tennis to have full-time physio with you.
Yeah.
Honestly, if you had to pick, sometimes I think it's more important to have a physio than a coach.
Yeah.
Because these guys, it's just so ballistic and grinding the game at the highest level.
Yeah.
So
Right.
if you have the fitness angle covered, you have the physio really covered, and you have the coach, do you really need all those other guys on the team? You know, whatever.
That's true. You're
And
right.
the analytics is now a little more available than it used to be to the common man through AI and other
AI,
things.
right.
Yeah.
That could be an equalizer. Maybe having a 10-man team will be less advantageous than having, if you're on board, having Leonard Berglund, 2 versus 1, maybe a better advantage than 10 versus 5. I don't know.
I mean, how much info is too much info? Also,
Correct.
I mean, at some point, like, it can be overload.
Yeah, you got
out
the
there.
shoulder
You got-
masseuse
Yeah.
and the knee masseuse.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Knee
Yeah,
specialist.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah. Get
They
that.
got footwork specialists. Forget about that. You got footwork is big. I can see that, but that's sort of in the fitness trainer mode, right?
Yeah.
That's what Paganini focused on with Roger a lot.
Yeah. It's just so much. I've been trying to find a lot of those videos when he was playing. I'm like, I want to see what they work on. And I found a bunch of them when he was working on his recovery, his comeback after 2016, and they were doing a lot of like just, and you mentioned in your book like that explosive movement, but not long term, just based on what you do on a tennis court and the intervals that you work on. Maybe that was Dorochenko. Maybe I'm
no, that's Matt Paganini,
That's Paganini, right?
and the term was explosive endurance.
Yes.
Which sounds like an oxymoron, but it's not.
Right.
But it's because of the idea of what is tennis.
Correct.
Tennis is 5-10 second bursts and then break.
Yeah.
You're not running in the woods for 5 miles. That's even though that's what people used to do. It has really no great bearing on you. You want to have a certain cardio base, but you get that much better on a bicycle and than a stationary bike or whatever than running and pounding your body. So I just feel like Paganini maybe didn't invent everything about this, but his overall approach was just so rational.
Yeah.
If it doesn't apply to tennis directly, he wasn't a tennis player by training. He was a track and field guy. He was a decathlete. If it didn't apply directly to the sport, why are we doing it?
Yeah.
And so they just
practical.
They just took it. They just took out all the stuff that was sort of by tradition and by legacy, and he rethought it all, and it was a big part of Roger's success because he was able to have the longevity that he had. He started to break down at the end for sure because he didn't do any of the stuff that didn't apply, and he didn't put the extra pounding on his body.
No, all those guys, man. I think they, especially those two. I think Federer, Nadal, and Djokovic behind them. But I think he used their blueprint a little bit. But those guys like brought the requirements in the game to such a different level, such a different universe. Like when you think about the amount of matches they played, the amount of like the longevity of how much they won.
Yeah.
And it's almost now surprisingly think that that's the norm, and now Alcaraz and Sinner are actually going after it.
I don't know. That'll be interesting. I sent out I still call them tweets because it's a form of protest, but I put out a tweet a couple days ago about Djokovic in the top 20 on Monday will be 9 years older than anybody else in the top 20.
9 years.
9 years older than anybody else. Dimitrov's 21. He's like early 30s. But still. So that's the case. Djokovic is an outlier.
Yep.
Roger and Rafa are now gone.
That's you.
Are you? I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure that you're going to see these guys be replicated. It certainly shows it's possible.
Yeah.
But then you had guys like Rosewall, Pancho Gonzalez back in the day that did it. You know, Rosewall played 2 Grand Slam finals at age 38 against Connors in '74. Right. Lost them both by big margins.
That's when you come in. That's when you come in.
That was my era.
Yeah.
Yeah, remember Ken?
Yeah.
But Ken was dirty, was competitive into his early 40s.
Right.
Pancho pro circuit, but came back and was competitive as well. Jimmy Connors obviously had his great run at 38 at the U.S. Open. So there are examples. But then again, everybody else after that retired 31, 30. Edberg, Becker, Sampras.
Yeah.
Agassi pushed it a little bit.
He did, yeah.
In 30, but he hadn't played as much as those guys until that point.
Right.
Yeah,
I don't know.
was 30,
I don't know if we're
31.
going to see guys being Djokovic, Federer, Nadal competitive at 38 in the future. We'll see. We'll see. It's also a mental feat,
right,
as well as a physical feat.
Yeah. Maybe more so.
Yeah. That's why I wrote the Nadal book. It was like 14 French Opens.
That's like that's
he had the talent for it, but you have to have the mind for it. Why do you want to win 14 French Opens?
Yeah.
I mean, you've already done it.
How are you not?
Why is that of interest to you?
Right.
Come back with a vengeance after you win 4.
So to me, he's a mental giant more than a physical giant.
You can see that though. You could see it when he was competing.
And the reason why, I'm not sure we'll get into this, but it's worth saying. The reason why he did it was because he didn't win his 14th French Open. He won the French Open.
The French Open that he was.
Each time it was the French Open. It wasn't like, oh, I'm number 13, number 14. Afterward, it'd be like, okay, la décima, number 10.
Yeah.
But it wasn't about that for him. He was in that year as a separate entity. It was just that thing he was going to try to win. That's how he did it.
That's another line that I wrote down here that you're saying that Nadal had the strength to stay in the moment. And that's what you're saying right there. He had that power of like, no, this is the French Open. I don't care if it's number 11 or 2 or 5. That's right now.
This is the challenge of the moment. Exactly.
Yeah.
But that's about the point you're playing.
Yeah. Focus
But
on
also about the bigger
essential.
thing, because you got to come and talk to us after every match.
Yeah.
Oh, so Rafa,
Yeah,
number
yeah.
12, and how's number 12 compared to number 11?
Yeah.
How are you feeling this year compared to last year? He used to hate that question.
Right.
Yeah.
How's this year feel compared to last? You feeling better now?
Because it run out of questions. Like, what?
That's the thing.
I think it's a logical question, right?
Yeah, it is, yeah.
So
Right.
he probably can't, but he didn't like that. Because that took him out of his, and it wasn't like it distracted him, because he had the power to sort of
Yeah.
correct you, as if he had this wonderful way of making things that were complex just seem simple.
That's the other one. Yeah. Simplicity.
It's a
Yeah.
beautiful thing.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
He could take these things that where everybody else is like tearing their hair out about. And he's
Yeah.
like, no, it's not complicated.
Yeah. Just work hard.
Right.
Yeah,
Well,
Focus on
that's
the
the
next
thing,
one.
though.
That's
You have the discipline to do that, because
Yeah.
people are constantly trying to complicate it for you. As much as you're just trying to stay in the moment, there's people that throw in all this other stuff
Yeah.
at you. It's hard enough to just do yourself, never mind when you're trying to do it, and then people are like poking you in all these other ways. It's like,
What did you
yeah,
write?
it's
Is
amazing.
simplify the complex through the force of habit.
Hmm.
That's a beautiful way to put it. He was doing that,
He was doing that. And that was a key, one of the keys to the castle, was that ability to
right?
find the routines. And, maybe Rafa is more OCD than he will admit to. I don't know. It's really hard to believe he's not, home
Yep.
arranging his bottles in his
Yeah,
room.
just-
Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. All
He
labels
says
are
no,
out.
and
Yeah.
so I'm not. He's not a liar. I'll believe him. But that was his coping mechanism to keep himself fully centered and focused. And you saw when they kicked over his bottles.
He
Rosol
Soul,
and-
Lucas
Yeah.
Rosol,
Rosol
yeah.
and the other
Yeah.
guy, I can't remember the other guy's name. He beat him.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it wasn't like boom.
That guy was like talking about, like, what else can we do? Let's go and hit his bottles.
Yeah.
That's
They
a-
broke the
Lucas-
glass slipper and it's
Yes,
dead.
just
So what?
Yeah.
Yeah, Lucas Rosol. He disappeared, but he had a couple of good moments there.
You and his serve could talk.
Yeah, that thing was just
Big boomer.
massive.
Yeah. He did serve well that day at Wimbledon when he beat Rafa. for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, I remember that match he played against Rafa on the hard court, where Rosol kept tapping the ground with his racket right before Rafa would serve. It was kind of like he'd move
Try
the
to find
position, he
something,
would
man.
tap.
You gotta beat.
And after a while, Rafa just like stood up and looked at him like, "What are you doing?
Right.
What are you doing?"
Yeah.
Tap. Complained to the umpire. The umpire said, "Well, he's been kind of doing it the whole match. He didn't just start it right now. He's been doing it." But that guy would try to get under his skin a little bit.
That's great, Mike. I didn't remember that story.
Yeah.
I wish I would have known that. Could we go back and revise chapter?
Yeah, just make that happen.
That's good.
Yeah.
Chapter 14.
Yeah. Give us a little bit more on Nadal and the Warrior. There's a couple of parts that you enjoy doing, and a couple of parts that I
Well,
cannot wait.
honestly, I really enjoyed going back to the origin story and talking to the early coaches and realizing, yes, Tony was the pivotal figure without a doubt. Take nothing away from Tony, but it was really a village that helped Rafa succeed, and there were other players like Moya and Feliciano Lopez, and then other coaches as well who played important roles. And Francis Roig, who just got hired by Emma Raducanu
Yep.
to be coach and had worked a little bit with Sloane Stephens, was basically there as an assistant coach for all of Rafa's
The whole
titles over the
time,
years, and was very much in the shadows because of Tony, and then later Moya. But guys like that played a huge role in Rafa's development, and kind of got lost in the shuffle. So that was really interesting to discover all that and to talk with them and to learn about how they saw things from their perspective. And that was a lot of rich conversations.
I'm sure.
But ultimately, what I really, as a journalist, enjoyed the most was connecting the French Open to Rafa, through the history parts of it, through the parts like just to go to the clay factory, in quotes, not much of a factory, wherever they make the clay, and just these people that are making the substance of Rafa is just creating magic. They feel a connection to him.
Should.
And that part was very cool. To sort of be in these places there was nobody there except for me, and then to see that, we're making the clay, and the guy's like covered in clay, like an Oompa Loompa. Yeah. He's like covered, he's covered in this color, and we'd like to see Rafa win because he does us justice with our product that we're making, and just to see the care that goes into all that and the connection. So there was one story I loved from the book was talking to Philippe Vaillant, who was the guy who was he is still the French groundskeeper, essentially, the guy who runs all the court preparation and care, and he talked about Rafa calling him, it was 2012. They had a good connection. Talked about the courts each year, and gets an urgent message. He needs to go talk to Rafa on the Longland court when they were training. So he runs over there and starts to Rafa goes, Philippe, court's playing great, but there's this one section, there's not enough clay on there.
Really?
So Philippe's like, okay, sure. Why don't we take good care of it. And so Rafa finishes. They go out there and go, yeah, there's actually a little clay missing from this part of the court. We need to redo it. So they redid that part. And Philippe's like, these guys, it's like Princess and the Pea. They can just sense the slightest little change.
Yeah.
And then later that year at the U.S. Open, the U.S. Open tournament directors gets a knock on the door, and it's Rafa. He goes, come with me. It's before the tournament. So they go out on the court in Ash, and he says, you have a ridge in the court right here in front of the baseline. I know you can't change it, but I wanted you to know.
Wow. Like
And
that.
the guy's like, okay. And so Rafa goes off, and then he and Gordon Smith, who was the head of the USTA, chief executive, go out with a 2x4 that night and put it on the court, and they realized Rafa's right. This
Felt it.
moves.
Yeah.
So they redid the whole court before the U.S. Open in like 2 days. Took it out of commission, resurfaced it.
Everything.
It's like we cannot have our court with a bad, bounce area around the baseline.
They would have been talked
Our
about.
court.
Right.
Because
Nobody else had mentioned it.
Yeah.
Right.
Nobody else had been training, and nobody else had mentioned this but Rafa. So Rafa had this sensitivity to his environment, and when I know he would go down and before he'd arrive at a new venue in Davis Cup or whatever, he'd go down and touch the clay,
And
hold it in his hands, feel the
really-
humidity, feel it.
Everything.
Yeah, so a bit like a golfer going around the
Of
course, understanding what the putting greens were playing like. But he has a real connection, and you can't really have that to anything else. Grass, okay, but not like clay. Clay runs through your fingers. It's a thing,
Yeah.
So those are the parts I really loved writing about
That's
it
so
and digging
interesting.
into, because it connects you to his achievement, but
Yeah.
also connects you to the place. And that's he and that place will forever be connected.
That's not going to be anything like it. But you're right, because all the tournaments, all the Grand Slams, they do change speeds over time. Like Wimbledon, obviously just changing to the ryegrass, and
Right.
Aussie, and now the French. Other than a rain or a cold day, that is the same surface, right? You would
Well, they have changed the balls.
yes, which could change
Try to speed
things.
up conditions a little
Yeah.
bit with the balls. But
The
you're
ball.
right, yeah, in terms
But
of
the
what you can do.
surface,
Yeah.
because you can speed up or slow down a surface on any tournament, including grass, which you didn't think you can, but not on clay. I never thought about it like that.
I think the clay benefited. Not everything's benefited, but I think the
Yep.
clay did benefit from the technology. Some would say that it got too fast still, but I think the clay probably was a good beneficiary of that. That it did create. I mean, honestly, I went back and watched Borg Vilas finals of the French Open for
Yep.
the book. Ooh, you got to love tennis a lot to watch that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Still, I mean, it's kind of loop and topspin, and it's pretty slow. So to watch it now when you're used to the pace, your eye gets in. But I don't think it destroys the essence of the geometry of clay court tennis, and I think it has destroyed some of the essence of grass court tennis or hard court
Right.
tennis. a little bit.
Yes.
Right.
But clay is it is still the surface where you have the longest rallies, and I do think that that's where most players will become complete.
Well, you're coaching, so
yeah,
not a lot of you guys have access to clay here, right? At your
We do,
club.
yeah, in the
So
summer,
how
it's
much do
just-
you use it as a teaching tool with young players?
not as much as we should, to be honest, because the season is so short. So you play indoors, but I'm even thinking like at the highest level, that you need to have that point extend to 5-6 rallies to really get a feel for it versus a serve +1, a return +1 pattern that you develop. And I'm seeing the clay being a must now to be a top 5 player in the world. If you're not good on clay, it's gonna be tough. It's gonna be tough. Which is why I a couple of years ago I really appreciated and liked that Shelton was going out there and tried to play all those clay tournaments. He wasn't doing great.
Taylor
He was
Fritz too.
Yeah, Fritz too. Yeah. So you have to do it. I feel like clay becomes. What do you think? Do you think that's or not?
I don't think it necessarily goes the other way, though. Look at Casper Ruud, who's unbelievable on clay. He's had great, but he just hasn't been Casper Ruud on harder, faster surfaces.
It doesn't even go on grass anymore.
Right.
He goes golfing.
like Lundell standing on a putting green saying he doesn't play Wimbledon because he's allergic to grass.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
It's interesting. What do you see? Actually, before this, you have a good eye. You knew Federer's gonna win a Grand Slam. You saw him in juniors, right? Was he the only
It wasn't juniors that told me. It was Davis Cup
Davis Cup? That's right.
against us,
Yes,
U.S. in
that's right.
Basel.
Yes, that's when he said that's his gonna.
2001, and it was February. It was first round. Back when Davis Cup, sadly, was such a great event. And your club here, I saw that you got a poster in the locker room.
Yes, yeah,
along with the 100th anniversary.
Yeah.
I love Davis Cup, but
Yeah.
unfortunately it's just fallen away. But
Right.
it mattered a lot to the players and mattered hugely to Rafa.
Yeah.
And it mattered hugely to Roger at one point in his career. Roger was playing at Basel, which is his hometown.
Yeah.
And everybody knew he was talented. He had done well at the Olympics before. He'd had some wins, but he was just, was one of a group of guys.
Yeah.
Safin, Ferrero, Rod,
Yeah.
all these different guys that were coming up. But he just destroyed us.
Yeah.
He beat Jan-Michael Gamble and Todd Martin, made him look silly. And then he won the doubles as well. So he kind of single-handedly won the tie. And I just remember watching him from the stands and just going, this guy's going to win Wimbledon. You could just feel he had the hands, the flow, ability to attack off of anything and come forward so naturally. And just you could just, having watched so much tennis in person,
Yeah.
I really watch tennis on TV. So I'm usually at the tournaments,
Yeah.
especially in those years. So you could almost like replace Pete with Roger. You could just sort of
Right
see
then.
how it could work.
Yeah.
So I have been wrong plenty of times. I don't get a lot of visions.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was a vision I had. That was clear.
Yeah.
This guy's going to be number one. You can feel it, and he's going to win Wimbledon multiple times. So that one was right, and that later that year he beat Pete
Yeah.
in that great fourth-round match at Wimbledon.
Yeah. That was a nice
Which was
match.
but ultimately, that wasn't what put him over the top. He needed 2 more years to fully
I started watching it.
cure the hand.
Yeah. reading your book, I started putting back like those old matches because you kind of relive them, and it's amazing.
So to your point, I got the books on the table here for our discussion.
Yep.
To that very comment, in the back of this one,
Yeah.
because of that, and I got complaints. There are, where are they? QR codes
Oh
in
wow.
the back of the book with the matches.
Huh.
So if you're reading about the match
That's the way to do it.
Yeah.
and you
That
want
is
to get the
cool.
full match, you go to the QR code and there it is.
And
That's
they
a
would
great
just,
idea.
that's such
Yeah.
a good idea to combine.
I wish I tried to get it in the text itself as a footnote, but I
Yeah.
couldn't do that. But maybe next book. But that's it, because you read about these things, and also
That's what I was doing.
I
yeah.
try to avoid the mind-numbing detail of a forehand,
Yeah.
backhand.
Yeah.
But you read about this match, you want to watch, 2008
course.
Wimbledon, or you want to watch 2012 Aussie Open final, and that's,
Yeah, I
that-
encourage
that
whoever's
QR
reading this to just read a chapter and then watch a match, a specific match. That's
Yeah.
beautiful.
But I think that's a very natural thing, and that's probably unusual.
Yeah.
Very particular for a tennis book in particular. It's hard to hold your reader talking too much match detail.
Yeah.
Even if
No,
you
that's
love
true.
tennis, it's like because describing one point in detail can just kill you. It's like take it like a long point, one of those Aussie Open
Yeah.
2012 final points.
Oh boy.
yeah,
Oh boy, 6-hour match. How long was that one?
exactly.
6 hours. They could've
That's the
sit-
challenge of tennis, right?
Yeah,
Is that
that's
you
true.
get almost too much material,
Yeah,
too much content, too many
You're right.
points. Soccer's great.
yeah.
2 goals.
2 goals.
Whatever,
That's
you
it.
know?
You talk. You're right.
Maybe 1.
You're right. Never thought about it like that. It's a good point. We also talking downstairs after we were playing that you felt Alcaraz, so you went to see him at Ferrero's academy. Tell
Yeah.
us about that, right? Because we're talking Padel and dive
Yeah,
into
I
that.
mean, I learned early on that if you want to get to these guys who are going to be great,
Yeah.
they may not all make it.
Yeah.
But you need to get to know them early.
Yeah.
And because the access starts to shut down. Yeah. Even more now, and everybody has their own Netflix doc and,
That's
Right,
right. That's
right.
true.
and their own
Of course.
their own content.
Yeah.
The journalists, and now there's nothing's going to change there. It's only going to go one direction.
Yeah.
But in my time, I was fortunate to be at a time when you still
Yeah.
had a chance as a New York Times writer to get access to people, and they would let you in. But even us, it was, you better get them early.
Yeah. You got to
We're
get.
going to get 2 full days following Alcaraz around now. Not going to happen.
True.
Cost you millions and
Yeah.
full approval. So I knew that was important, and I could just tell.
And you did
It's a past
22,
match of this
23.
Open. I did that. It was pandemic time. I think it was. What year did he win the U.S. Open? 22.
22.
So it was December 21.
Okay, so it was like the year before.
A lot of pandemic rules were still in
Yeah,
place. It was
yes.
hard to get down there into Spain, but I flew
Yeah.
from Paris down to Alicante and spent 2 days there. And I watched him practice, and the takeaway from that was he is a hell of a lot of fun to watch practice, too.
I'm sure, especially there.
I don't get off on watching tennis players practice that much, but I could have sat there for weeks watching him train with Ferrero because he played all court tennis
Yeah.
in practice. So many guys like, okay, he's in the back and baseline and
Yeah.
train the patterns and the serve, but he would play the whole court all the time. And that's why he's so good at it.
Is such an exposition, just brings the joy back.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he was laughing, but
Yeah.
giving his all in practice. and they were transforming his body.
That was from so fast.
Yeah, that's interesting. I don't know all the details of that.
I felt like I saw him in the fall, and then the following spring, like what?
They put him through a really heavy period of training at that point.
Turned like that.
Yeah, and they had expertise in that, but I don't know all the details of that. But he trains like he plays.
Yeah,
with all the whole court, the whole canvas.
He too has a nice entourage around him. He's got Federer there, which I think it's a good influence. But he's got a lot of guys around him too.
Yeah, I mean his dad knows a lot about tennis. His dad could have been.
Maybe
made the
top
mistake.
junior, right?
Carlos Sr. could have justifiably done a Tony Nadal and said, I want to coach you, because obviously he had been on the edge of the pro circuit and he coaches all the time, but very wisely, I think, knew that wasn't the way to go with his son, and that's part of the reason I think it worked.
Yeah, it's still working. What do you see tennis now?
You know, I've always felt tennis was a fantastic sport with you never can quite master and full of subtleties and so global, but I still think it underperforms. I'm covering it all these years. It never has maximized its potential as a product or because of all the internal conflicts and infighting and the different elements that control the sport.
Yes.
So if you ask me how I think it's doing globally, I think it's putting itself in danger because it hasn't maximized its enormous appeal. And then the other issues are, what do you do with the format of play? I love best of five.
Yeah.
We all do. We really love the game. It's a huge test of character and endurance. But honestly, who sits and watches a 5-hour tennis match from start to finish anymore? Do any of you guys do it? Honestly,
it better be a final.
I do. Yeah, I watched the French. There was like that.
I watched that one. I mean, I'm getting paid to. It's my job. So,
Right.
It's. I don't know many people who love the game who will do it. So,
yeah.
Are we looking at radical change ahead in that? Are we looking to go to a 4-all breaker and best of 5 that way? Are we looking to best of 3 in the slams for the first week and then go to best of 5 for the finish? There will be some push for change in those things, and it's an important decision to make. So
you see, they're trying to do some changes with extending the tournaments, like Montreal and Cincinnati. Now they're making a 10-day tournaments.
12
days. Yeah.
They feel very like slam light.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So
I don't like that myself. I don't know what you guys think.
No. I want it to be a little bit quick.
Also, what is today? We're doing this on a Thursday.
Yeah, the finals.
And the Canadian Open finals are on Thursday. Right. It's weird.
I was trying to figure out like how they do that. Like what's the thinking behind it? But I guess
it's to get the calendar.
It's to get the calendar going.
It's leading up to the U.S. Open.
Yeah.
I think Cincy's finishing on a weekday too, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe I'm wrong. I think they are as well.
It could be so that way they start to get to the US Open, right?
And also, I just think people want to follow sort of defined timeline and product, and maybe it's changing, so we don't have the orientation we need yet to fully enjoy it, but it does seem like it drags.
It is.
And the early, like as at Indian Wells the last 2 years, and even there, it feels like it doesn't really get going until
takes a bit.
day 5 or 6, And now they're kind of all like that.
Yeah, they're trying to make it. And yet the calendar, right? They keep talking about the calendar might need to shorten a little bit.
But I don't think that's going to change.
No, it's too much
money.
Too much money.
And they pushed for that money, and the players wanted that money.
Yeah.
So the players who were complaining are the same ones who signed the petition in the locker room and said, bring us, revenue share. And you got to have
you got to have both, right?
You got to have a little give back for that.
How much information you have? How much you can disclose on what do those guys have on the back burner? Fed and Nadal. What do you think? Do they have anything like they're gonna do something? I've heard that Federer's started training again, and we wanted to put some. He said he would like to play against some of the guys to put some people back in the stands. Or do you know any of that? They're gonna.
I have had more contact with Team Nadal lately than Team Federer, but I do know that from knowing those guys and knowing their approach, I think Roger loves the game. Yeah, and you can see he's not hiding. He's not out there. Yeah, he's showing his face and enjoying sitting in the royal box and being part of the process and investing in things that are related to tennis with and stuff like that. Yeah. So and best thing that ever happened to him financially was having Nike not give him the deal he thought he deserved. So it turned out he got much better deal.
You and the glow, man. That
was
$1 million?
It's more than that by the end.
Sure.
Much more than that. But I doesn't know how the stock will go over time. But
yeah.
So I think Roger does want to play tennis again and fill stadiums. I know he and Rafa. I'm are working toward playing exhibitions in the
They'd
future, and that will
He'd be
be.
able to do it too.
Oh my God.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but I know when you watched him play the Laver Cup in his last appearance, you could tell he just couldn't run anymore. You watch some of those wide balls; it's just not happening. So, to make it a compelling product, he has to be able to move. So, but it looks like he's had some time off, and but the knees are a problem for sure. But I know he'd like to do that. I imagine his kids. I know his sons are good players, and they want to be, potentially get involved in the game at a higher level. I'm sure he'll be involved in that.
I'm sure.
But it's kind of nice to be Roger Federer, I think.
I'm sure.
And Nadal is hardwired for hard and competitive. I'm sure he's enjoying a little bit of a downtime, but not for long. I think he's going to get back in something. And it's already with Zverev coming down to.
Yes.
I don't know if that's sticking or not. I haven't followed.
Tony Nadal, they were talking about it.
Yeah, with coming down the academy. And the academy, you guys been?
No, I heard, but some of the members went. Yeah, I should. Yeah, it's
it'll
a
be a real
beautiful
hub,
thing.
and
Yeah.
it already is. But I think that keeps Rafa connected on his home island with the elite of the game, and he wants to help young players. I wouldn't be surprised to see Rafa play a role like, in the coaching team of Alcaraz, like 5-6 years from now. Not as the main guy, maybe, but
just
kind of like Edberg used to be for Federer or
Right.
thing like that. I could see that happening for sure. He has a lot to give, and as a mental coach, who would you rather hire than Rafa Nadal?
Yeah.
And the other element with Rafa is Real Madrid. He is a huge Real Madrid
fan. Yeah.
socio, not just a fan, but involved with the team. And
Is he?
And he would be a logical at least option. I'm not sure it would happen, but I wouldn't be surprised to see him get involved in the management of Real Madrid.
Wow, I was gonna aim that high because Real Madrid is.
Rafa is just an icon in Spain.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
He's been a Real Madrid socio and follower, and
Yeah.
he's not going to be coaching the team, but he can
Yeah.
get involved in the management and be like face of Real Madrid. I wouldn't be shocked to see that. That would be a natural fit because he's got the skills and the connections.
Everything.
And also, you got to have a certain amount of money just to be a candidate. And he has that too.
He does. Those guys did well. That was another interesting chapter you had on the business side of things. How on a Fed book, I'm not sure if I didn't get that far. If he did it on Nadal's book.
Didn't
too.
do it with Rafa as much because I had done it with Fed
Yeah.
to such a degree. But Rafa's very interesting too. And I did get into the Saudi money that Rafa took. At
Yes. Yeah, that's right. Because he's an ambassador, right?
Which was a tough one. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he's not alone.
Yeah.
6 Kings Slam in
I know.
Saudi with doing that again, and that's just ridiculous money for
Oh,
very,
boy.
very, very little effort.
Yeah.
And Rafa took part in that. So did all the other guys at the top. So, and Rafa's taking big money from them to be their ambassador. Did he have to do that? I don't think he did. But
I mean, if it's out there, how many million? Yeah. What
we don't know. We don't know how many million.
I know, but just like we're talking millions, right? Okay.
They gave him a gilded racket when he plays. Like, okay, well, let's just kind of throw that away. That's like party favorite.
Yeah.
Man.
Tough to turn down at some point.
Yeah.
Well, he's not alone, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Cristiano Ronaldo and soccer
Yes.
playing there in the Saudi
Yes.
league, and
Yes.
all the golfers, Mickelson, all those guys, and
Yeah.
John Rahm, they took the money. So you can't say Rafa's trailblazing there, but I would personally would have liked to see him hold the line there,
Yeah.
but he didn't.
Chris, thank you so much. This has been great. We appreciate you. We appreciate you coming here. The Warrior and the Master, like, unbelievable books. And thanks for coming. Yeah, good.
Honor for me and lovely club here, and
Yeah.
I'm slowly getting over today's doubles match.
At least he didn't hit me.
Yeah.
He didn't even know I was a part.
Great. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Thank you.